Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John. Today we begin looking at John chapter 12. It's almost time for the Passover. And just a few days before the Passover, we see that Jesus returns to Bethany. So let's read the first few verses of chapter 12. Now, 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. So he returns to Bethany, the scene of that miracle when he called Lazarus forth from the grave. Still a lot of talk about that, obviously. Jesus has returned. A dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those who reclined at the table with him. Then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet, and she wiped his feet with her hair. And the whole house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. So while Jesus is in Bethany, a dinner is given in his honor. We mentioned Lazarus is there, along with Martha and Mary. They're both present. Martha is helping to serve. This is to be expected from other things we know about her in the gospel. And Mary comes and anoints his feet with the perfume. Now, this is going to arouse a discussion, even a little debate about whether this should have been done. We'll look at that in tomorrow's session. But today, I just want you to notice that Mary is the one who anointed his feet with the perfume. Now, we mention that because when we look in the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Mark, they also record this event, but they do not mention that it was Mary. Let's look at Mark's account. That's in Mark chapter 14. It's also in Matthew, but the accounts are the same, so we'll look at Mark's version. So Mark chapter 14, it tells the story thus. The Passover and the festival of unleavened bread are only a couple of days away. The chief priests and teachers of the law were scheming to arrest Jesus secretly and have him killed. But not during the festival, they said, or the people may riot. Of course, John verifies that the Sanhedrin was already plotting to do away with Jesus. While Jesus was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Now, this seems to be exactly the same event. It's in Bethany, the expensive perfume, the anointing of Jesus. But Mark does not mention that it is Mary. And Mark also says that they're reclining at a table in the home of Simon the leper. Now you think, well, they wouldn't be in a leper's home, would they? So more than likely, Simon had been a leper who had been healed by Jesus. And so has been restored to the community. And now he has this dinner in his home in honor of Jesus. We say, well, is this in contradiction to the account in John, where it says it was Mary that anointed Jesus? We've always kind of assumed when you read John that maybe they were in Lazarus' home, but it doesn't say that. Notice in John it says a dinner was given in Jesus' honor and Lazarus was reclining at the table. It does not say that it was in his home. It just that he was at the table as a guest of honor along with Jesus. That would have been natural since he had just been raised, obviously. Great miracle. So I think what's going on here is the dinner was in the home of Simon. Jesus was there, of course, but it also invited Lazarus, who was a close friend of Jesus, who had just been raised, obviously. So Lazarus was there. Also, Martha and Mary had been invited because they're such close friends of Jesus. And Martha's helping to serve as she always does. And Mary is in worship of Jesus as she always is. And she anoints Jesus. So it's the same event. We just get a little more details. Mark tells us whose home it was in. It was in Simon's home. And John gives us the information that Lazarus is also there in Simon's home for the dinner, and that it is his sister Mary who anoints Jesus. So it's a very, very special moment. Now, we're going to be told, and we'll look at this in tomorrow's session, that this anointing is in preparation for Jesus' burial. So is it a prophetic act? Now, Mary does not realize it's a prophetic act. She's just showing her devotion. But her act has a prophetic meaning. She is preparing Jesus' body for burial because his atoning death is only a few days away. All that is seen in this great, great moment. Now, tomorrow's session, we'll look at the debate that ensued over this and how Jesus said, he's done this for my burial. We'll look at that tomorrow. So join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the Gospel of John.